Oh, well, hello, my wonderful, beautiful broskies of the wonderful, beautiful Maverick Nation. Broskies and broskies of the wonderful, beautiful Maverick Nation. This is going to be a special what if I'm going to be doing. Damn my OCD. What if Izuku was Ichigo's son? Technically, Ichigo and Orihime already have a son, being Kasui. I guess you could say that they wanted to have a second child. And, well, on their second go around, all things seemed good. They named their kid Izuku. Izuku Kurosaki. Basically, now with the fact that Kasui is the older brother and Izuku is the younger brother, let me put this into perspective for you guys. Let's just say that Izuku and Kasui were having another one of their friendly, brotherly competitions to see who is truly the better. Because Kasui by now already has his Zanpakuto. Yet, the most Izuku can seem to do is reject things. Because he seems to take him more, from his mother than his father. It seems to have been Kasui's job all along. That's whenever Kasui decides the next challenge, the next competition they're going to be in, is going to be a hollow hunting contest. Whoever can kill the most hollows before sunrise is the winner. And Izuku wanting to, impress his older brother would be like, hell yeah. Because normally he'd be terrified at even the mention of being around a hollow. Because, he doesn't know about Ichigo's little "the blade is me" secret. He's heard the saying before, but he never really knew what it meant because he was never really told about the Hollow Zangetsu and the Quincy Zangetsu. Like the Hollow Zangetsu is also the Shinigami Zangetsu, but that's because the Hollow and Shinigami parts fused together whenever Ichigo was being born. So, yeah. And I'm also gonna say that Captain Hitsugaya, Toshiro Hitsugaya, who could totally, give Shoto Todoroki a run for his money and a, competition of fabulous AF looks. Yeah, fabulous AF. Toshiro Hitsugaya, my mans. Let's just say that Hitsugaya decided that basically where he, was uh, watching everything. It's basically like the number 10 one, like number 10, I think. And that's where that's Kura Town is what he watched over. So I'm just gonna say that eventually Toshiro gets a chance to move on. So he grants the new title of Captain of Squad 10 to Ichigo Kurosaki. So now their dad's like away a little bit more. So they can get away with a little bit more. Like a lot more actually. Because Orihime doesn't have like the chutzpah to like deal with the both of them at the same time. Izuku and Kasui. Basically, they both are going in to like start mow down some freaking hollows. Well, they're doing pretty decent, ish. Hollows are falling left and right. That is until they end up getting caught in the midst of a horde that just plopped straight into the world of the living. An entire horde of them. And so Izuku and Kasui would lose each other in the midst of the horde. Kasui, finally trying it out, like reeling back. Getsuga Tensho! Just blasting a hole. But since like all of the Reiatsus like bundled up with each other, it just creates a giant explosion that envelops Kasui. And whenever Izuku comes to after, the big shockwave from the Getsuga Tensho that like shot him out of the freaking horde. And now all the horde are like going back to Hueco Mundo because they're like, F this shit, we're out. Basically, Izuku's like, Kasui, 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 like big brother. And that's whenever he would realize it would kind of be like a Shoto and Toya situation. They would think that Toya was dead, but for realsies, he would kind of just be more or less in limbo for the time being. I forget, is the Dong guy considered limbo? Yeah. I need to brush up more on my Bleach facts. Like, whatever you would consider, like, limbo, basically, Kasui is just floating in the midst of limbo. And don't act like he can't hear his brother calling his name. And he wants to try and go over to his brother and protect him because he thinks the horde is still coming. He doesn't know that the horde basically left after that Getsuga Tensho blast. And the only thing that Izuku is really able to see is that basically it's the equivalent of Kasui's Zanpakuto being split into two halves. Kasui has one half, and now one half in the living world, right in front of Izuku. Izuku holds it. He takes hold of it. And he tries to listen for a name. He listens really hard. And eventually, he thinks he gets something. Thinks he might have gotten something. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. Basically, after a while, Izuku does get a name. Basically, the name starts out as a slow whisper, but soon you can hear it clearly. I am Kachi no Naiha. Yes, Kachi no Naiha. And why Kachi no Naiha? Well, because I use Google Translate, and basically I typed in the Blade of the Worthless One because, Izuku's always getting called Deku in the story by Bakugo, and Deku's supposed to mean worthless, so the Blade of the Worthless One and Kachi no Naiha is what came up. Now, as for Izuku's Shikai that he's going to get, it's basically going to be the same, only there's going to be a release command now. And the release command for his Shikai is going to be emote. So, emote Kachi no Naiha. Basically, yeah. Emote Kachi no Naiha would be the whole, Shikai thing. And for Bankai, I actually rearranged it around a bit. Instead of Blade of the Worthless One, Sword of the Worthless One. The Sword of the Worthless One. And it came out... Well, first of all, I made the release command for the Bankai reemerge. And just the name in general for the Bankai is Kachi no Nai Ken no Ken. So yes, reemerge Kachi no Nai Ken no Ken. But we have a while till he actually learns Bankai. So yeah. Right now, the sword that he has right now with him is a Zanpakuto. His Zanpakuto now. And it has told him its name, Kachi no Naiha. And with the fact that it's told him its name, that basically means that he's privy to the Shikai. Because first you have to get, to know your Zanpakuto's name in order to get Shikai, and now you actually have to get to know your Zanpakuto, like actually know it. Get to know your Zanpakuto, because, you know, the blade is me, in order to get the Bankai. So that's gonna take a little bit. And so he would already have emote Kachi no Naiha. So, yeah, basically he'd be told that the release command for the Shikai is emote. And so just like emote Kachi no Naiha. Yeah. Izuku could be feeling weird. But soon he would ask, well, what type of Zanpakuto is Kachi no Naiha? And Kachi no Naiha basically just shows him all of his father's memories. I am that kind of Zanpakuto. Or should I say, we are that kind of Zanpakuto. Yes, that's right. Izuku's gonna have a Shinigami Quincy and basically a Shinigami and a Quincy side, and the Shinigami side is going to be fused with Hollow, and since Orihime's human, and there's Hollow there, you're going to have a Fullbringer as well, so some weird ass shit gonna be going on, but it's gonna be alright. At least Izuku now finally has freaking a Zanpakuto, Hachi no Naiha. He's just sad that the way he got it was from the supposed death of his brother. Like, how is he supposed to explain this to his parents? Well, his dad is rarely ever home, so really, how is he supposed to explain this to his mother, really? And, well, more or less, Izuku would be torn up about it. And Orihime would be devastated that she just lost her first child. And whenever Ichigo hears about this, well, he's gonna give Izuku something of a stern talking to about how stupid what him and Kasui were doing was. And now, look what happened. Yeah, Ichigo is kind of uber pissed. And currently taking out his frustrations on his only remaining son. And just child in general. Which, at this time, currently, Izuku doesn't go to the quirk doctor because him and Kasui both knew that they, whatever percentage of Shinigami that they were going to be, they were still going to be a percentage of Shinigami. So quirks weren't really going to be a factor. However, their Shinigami powers, whenever they got their Zanpakuto, that's a whole nother story. It's just, even though Izuku was a Shinigami, he never had his Zanpakuto. Like, don't get me wrong, he could go into the Shinigami form just fine, with the whole Shihakusho and shit. And he could still use the reject powers of Orihime, like Santin Keshin, I reject. Like, all that shit. Yeah. Izuku would just realize that his life is kind of shit now because his father's never looking at him the same way again. And his mother thinks that what Ichigo did was a little bit extreme, don't you think? And so basically, Izuku's gonna get the Endeavor treatment, like what Endeavor did to Shoto. Like, just really just being an asshole. Because Ichigo blames freaking, Izuku for why Kasui died. Because Kasui was so fixated on making sure that at least one of them got out alive that he sacrificed his own life. And it still wasn't all that worth it. Because now they're down a son, and the son that they do have left, Ichigo now hates with a passion. And, well, Izuku will just be thinking in his head as he'd be trying to go to sleep. What did I do wrong? Oh, what did I do wrong? I know what I did wrong. I survived instead of Kasui. He should have been the one to survive, not me. And this is whenever all of a sudden there'd be like this ringing in Izuku's head. And he'd want to know what was producing this ringing. And then Izuku would realize that the ringing is coming from the Reiatsu coming off of his Zanpakuto. It apparently responds to his emotions, which is why the name of the Shikai release, the release, state thing, basically what's said in order to, like the Shikai is emote. That's why it's called emote. Because it responds to, Izuku's emotions. And, well, Izuku's all flustered and flabbergasted. And so finally, basically, the sword shoots at him, speeds too fast from the dodge, and just straight into him. And then whenever Izuku wakes up, he sees that he's in his mindscape, and that currently right now, he is meditating, in his mindscape. And basically Izuku's just like, what the shit? Like he's meditating in real life, and that's how he got into his mindscape. The sword caused him to meditate whenever the full power was coursing through him. And so basically he can feel everything that his Zanpakuto feels now. And, well, he sees the Zanpakuto spirit. And it just so happens the Zanpakuto spirit is an exact replica of his freaking brother. Which does not help matters. It only makes them worse. Basically, he states the whole thing about how whenever Izuku is sad or troubled in the mind, like going through hard shit, like it will rain here, and how he hates the rain. Much like your father Zangetsu, we both hate the rain. And as you can clearly see here, and Izuku realizes it is raining up a freaking storm or shit. Like, it is like raining cats and dogs in his Zanpakuto inner world. It is raining cats and dogs. Yeah, he's going through emotional turmoil after emotional turmoil. So no wonder it would be freaking raining cats and dogs inside of his freaking inner Zanpakuto world. And, well, with Izuku now being able to understand everything that his Zanpakuto can understand, the same thing happens with his Zanpakuto spirit. Like, basically, now it understands why he's been like in this shitty mood. He basically got freaking the closest thing to disowned you can be without actually being disowned. Yeah, the only one who really still loves him is his mother. Ichigo just got way too devastated. He's like having to be captain of Squad 10 of the Soul Society, and juggle that with this whole family business, in which basically all because of a stupid little contest to see who was better. Even though Izuku didn't even have his own Zanpakuto yet, like, legit. Literally, Orihime is the only one, like, who's, like, left who actually, like, loves him anymore. And so, basically, what happens is that, basically, Izuku would go out in the middle of a field during the day, like, during the next day, and he would clasp his Zanpakuto, Kachi no Naiha, and he would say, emote, Kachi no Naiha. And then it was like, boom! Like a just giant explosion of spiritual pressure. And Ichigo would be like, it's probably my, dope shit of a son. I don't even know why I still call him my son. Yeah, Ichigo was like pissed, if you guys can't tell. He is legit pissed about all this. Because, this is like recent events. This has all been like happening like back to back recent events. So, he still has his time that he has to grieve before he can, get back onto his own feet. And, the squad have actually been realizing that his performance as a captain of Squad 10, and even the other captains realize this, has kind of been dipping down. And then Izuku drops the, big ol' pile of, bad news, like bad news way Barrett, about, his first son being dead. And now his other son, is just, apparently now has his own Zanpakuto. Go figure. Whatever. He doesn't care. And that's where Mary would be like, you don't care? Oh, well then, allow me to care. And, Mary's like working for like the research and development part of the Soul Society. Like the Department of Research and Development, I think, is what it's called. And so he keeps a keen eye on Izuku, and he sees that he's already acquired his Shikai. And basically, he sees that Kachi no Naiha can basically do whatever Zangetsu can do. This is basically like Izuku's version of Zangetsu. And whenever Mary sees this, he's like, oh my. So, emote is the release command for his Shikai. I must indeed send him a letter. And basically, one day in the mail, Izuku would actually see that something is for him, and, well, you would see that it was a letter from the Department of Research and Development of the Soul Society. Mayuri Kurotsuchi of the Department of Research and Development is basically who this letter is from, and it's to Izuku Kurosaki. And Izuku's just like, wait, Kurotsuchi-san is a captain. He literally calls him Kurotsuchi-san. Like, no, I know one even better. Kurotsuchi-sama is a captain of the Gotai 13. Yes, he literally calls him Kurotsuchi-sama. And, he just, he has to read this in private, not let anyone else know. And so, eventually, whenever he gets into his room, he would read the note. And that basically would tell him that Mayuri Kurotsuchi, captain of, I believe, Squad 12? Because Shunsui is captain of Squad 8, so yeah, Mayuri would be captain of Squad 12. It's either 11 or 12. I'm pretty sure it's 12, though. Might be 11, might be 12. I don't know. But basically, yeah. Also, the basic person who is responsible for the, Department of Research and Development of the Soul Society, Mayuri Kurotsuchi, basically is interested because he was able to tell from Izuku's Shikai, tell all this shit and be like, now don't dawdle, and get to work. I will be expecting very great things from you in the future, Izuku. And, Izuku's just like, Kurotsuchi-sama is expecting great things from me. That's it. I have to get to know my Zanpakuto. I have to learn Bankai. And even master it. I have to do this. There is one other person in the world that actually does care. Even if it is Kurotsuchi-sama. And Kurotsuchi-sama is indeed creepy, but he has his reasons. And if he believes in me, then I have to. Okay. Time to resume training. I was like, just like freaking Shun pose out of there. And, well, he would take the letter with him, not wanting anyone to know about the news. He would almost forget to take his Zanpakuto with him. And you would be like, oops. Emote, Kachi no Naiha. That's basically what he would say, like, whoosh, as a big thing of freaking, like, Reiatsu, like, just washes over the entire area where he's training. And so he just trains, like, night and day, trying to get to know Kachi no Naiha better, while training with it, like, both in the Zanpakuto world and in the real world, training with Kachi no Naiha as a weapon, and training with Kachi no Naiha as a sparring partner. And eventually, I'm gonna say All Might would have just caught the sludge villain, and so this would have been over the 10 months of training for the UA thing, UA. Basically, Izuku, still having to attend school, would have indeed signed up, and Bakugo would be like, "You're never gonna get into UA. Even with your stupid little sword tricks, you'd never get in." And, well, I'm just gonna say right now that Izuku decides whether he becomes a hero or not, he has to, show Captain Kurotsuchi-san, Captain Kurotsuchi-sama, that he's ready, that he has the skill and potential. So he goes to take that entrance exam. He aces the written portion, this President Mike is looking over this correct. Holy shit. There's even some errors you put in here yourself, Nesu, that this kid corrected flawless victory style. Just like he did with the rest of the written test. Written part of the test. Exam. And Nezu's just like, "Give me that." And he's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "What the fuck?" He did not know that Kurosaki kid was like that. And, well, whenever everybody would get to the gates for the robot portion, as soon as the gates would open, Izuku would automatically vanish via Shunpo. He'd just be straight in the middle of Model City Gamma, and he would just be wrecking all of the robots' shit. He'd be racking up points by the millisecond. And, the people in the observation booth wouldn't be the only ones watching this. Kurotsuchi, Captain Kurotsuchi, Mayuri Kurotsuchi, would have been watching the entrance exam as well, because he would want to know not only if this kid was going to get into 1A, not only if this kid was actually going to get into UA, but what class he was going to get into. And so basically, Izuku just trashes the entire exam, but then you hear that big rumbling from the ground. And, well, instead of trying to step on Ochako, which Ochako is like, "Help!" basically picks her up from the rubble and has her in its arm. And Izuku's like, "Oh, hell no, this is not happening again. I am not losing another person. I may not know this girl, but I am gonna do what a hero would do, and I am gonna slay this mofo." This mofo in SOB. Getsuga Sensho! And just slices off the freaking Zero-Pointer's arm. And he just catches the arm with one hand, by the way. Lifting this entire arm with one hand. And he just sets it down. Forcefully opens up the hand. And, Shunpo's Ochako over to Recovery Curl, and then goes back to the Zero-Pointer, and is like, "Oh, hell no, we're not done yet. You're gonna pay for that!" And he's basically like, It's a good Jiu-Jitsu! And, Ichigo was actually able to sense that. Like, wait, what the shit? And his Shikai? Getsuga Jiu-Jitsu. And just Getsuga Jiu-Jitsu just freaking blows what's left of the Zero Pointer up into, like, complete oblivion. And Izuku's just like, hasta la vista, baby. Like, take that. And so, yeah. After all of the test was done, like all of the exam, President Mike would say the exam was over, like everything and all that. Well, Izuku would indeed get this strange feeling, and that's whenever he would realize that right as soon as he had, released that energy to, execute the Getsuga Jiu-Jitsu, something had happened. His blade has begun to transform almost like a premature Bankai, but so close yet so far away. And so, for the remainder of a time that he would have before he would get the exception letter from UA, he would train like the hell out of himself and his Zanpakuto. So, at this point, well, not only would there be an exception letter from UA that would tell him that he got into, not only did he get into Class 1A, but he could actually half his class time, and, if he wanted to, and focus on something else while he's also focusing on Class 1A studies and stuff. And Izuku's like, interesting that they would give me that option. Or did... And then he'll realize that the second thing in the mail was something from Captain Korotsuchi-sama. And basically it would say, what Izuku was thinking. Like, Mayuri had put in a good word to Principal Nesu about this child's, possible potential. And so, if he gets enough points, sure, you can put him in 1A, but don't hesitate to allow him to have his own, like, little class that secondary class that he might want to go to. So, possibly half the time, he's already a pretty damn good Soul Reaper, if I do say so myself. Child Soul Reaper. Substitute Soul Reaper, anyways. So, I think it would only benefit you for you to do that. And Nezu would take Mayuri's advice to heart, and, well, that's when you'd be given the opportunity, basically. And also, Mayuri has been watching Izuku develop, and even saw a partial instance of a sword trying to transform into the Bankai. Now all Izuku has to do is put his all into it. Focus, instead of just lashing out in brute force. And Izuku's like, that's what I've been doing wrong. I have to focus. And I couldn't really focus while I was dealing with that, tin can. So, oversized tin can. So, where we go? Emerge! Kachi no Nai Ken no Ken. Like, he's basically like, Emerge, Kachi no Nai Ken no Ken. Yeah, basically that would be the name of the Bankai. And be like, whoop. And all of a sudden, Ichigo would just sense this massive freaking spiritual pressure. And he'd be like, holy shit. That, like, is only matched by my spiritual pressure whenever we were, like, invading the Soul Society. You know, like, back in the Soul Society arc. So basically saying that he's comparable to the Soul Society arc, you know, Ichigo at this point. Because, you know, Ichigo showed off his Bankai whenever fighting Byakuya, and that was during the Soul Society arc. And so, now Izuku, finally having a grasp on his Bankai, he would see. And, you know, well, he would pull back as he would release a wave. And like, shoot, and just like blow up a big portion of the training area that Izuku had made for himself. And Izuku was like, holy shit, I need to get better at controlling this Bankai. But, just, wow. I was never able to do that in my Shikai. And he was just letting off a little Getsuga Tensho. And you would also realize that his Getsuga Tensho was like a black and red color whenever he went into his Bankai. And well, yeah. Basically, all of a sudden, there's like, wow, just like get whisked away. And all of a sudden, Izuku would basically be on his ass in front of none other than Captain Mayuri Kotsuchi himself. And, you know, Mayuri would be like, ah, yes, I see that you finally learned your Bankai. And Izuku's like, yeah. Reemerge, Kachi no Nai Ken no Ken. And Mary's just like, oh, yes, very interesting. You mind helping me with something? Doing a little bit of Soul Reaper, you know, Shinigami type hero work on the side for the time that you still have left. And Izuku's like, sure, yeah, what is it? Like, you know, Mayuri would just tell him about a big influx of hollows, that they might be the same hollows that were like the big horde that attacked him and his brother Kasui. And, you know, another reason why everything's like the way now it is with his whole family relationship. And so Izuku's like, gladly. And so he would just be like, tearing like through hollows left and right. And he wouldn't use his Bankai until he saw a big hole open up and this big screech as he would see what could only be described as a Minos Grande. And he would just fire his full power Getsuga Tensho, the black and red one, and it would just completely obliterate like Exodia Obliterate style, the freaking Minos Grande. So, yeah. How's about that? And basically, the other class that Izuku actually chooses to, do, because he does choose to do another class along with, like, his stuff that he'll be doing as a part of 1A. He also chooses to be a part of the support course, allowing him to do some stuff that involves, like, support items and just, like, overall inventing shit, like, putting his mind to work just as much as he is, his everything else to work. He got that from Mayuri, like, hanging around with him a little bit. He kind of... Mayuri's kind of like a secondary All Might. Because, Mayuri's, like, the only other, like, captain that he... Well, he knows about the captains, but he never really thought that Mayuri Kurotsuchi, the head, like, not only, like, a captain, but the head of the Department of Research and Development, would actually give a shit about him. And so he decided to provide the results that Mayuri wanted. And so, basically, yeah, that's the thing. Shikai and now Bankai. And so, from that time with Mayuri, Izuku kind of... His brain went from, like, something of a very analytical thinker to a super genius in, like, 0 to, like, nothing seconds. Just from being around Mayuri. Because he was that analytical of everything. He was able to observe everything and, like, absorb it all in like a sponge. And so he became a super genius, like, overnight. And so his first day of school, well, really, the only thing, like, similar to a quirk that he would have would be his Zanpakuto. Because, he doesn't know any Keto spells yet. And he wouldn't even trust his Keto spells to keep the balls intact. And, his sword would probably just cut the balls in half. So, and several of the other tests would just get kind of weird. So eventually he just get excused. However, the rest of the class would indeed realize his score was pretty high up there. He was definitely not going to be expelled. Little did they know that it was all just a logical ruse from Aizawa to get them to do their best, the whole expelling thing. Izuku knew this because, super big brain. Izuku already knew what Aizawa was trying to do, so, yeah. Scooby-Doo-ba-doo! Dog. D-O-double-G. Anyways. Whenever Izuku's off from, doing all of the different practices, like stuff like quirk apprehension test, he is doing stuff in the support course. Power Loader is the teacher there. And just, well, Izuku's very respectful to Power Loader. And Power Loader is very respectful for Izuku back. Like, to Izuku back. Because he sees, this kid is a good kid. He is a very good kid. That word that apparently, that good word that was apparently put in for him by this Mayuri Kurotsuchi guy that Nezu was talking about, apparently must be very true because, wait, what the hell is he inventing? And Izuku's just inventing away. he's like finally done with all this shit, and so he decides to just like make his own little thing, like build himself up from the ground up. And let's just say that seeing as, you know, Ichigo already did his work as a Shinigami, you know, getting rid of hollows, he could also get rid of villains. All he had to do was just make sure not to kill them, so that they could be arrested afterwards. So it's a fair thing to say that Izuku, his family's kind of rich, kind of loaded. Especially seeing as Ichigo, seeing as I don't know who the number 4 hero is, but I do know who the number 3 hero is. That's Hawks. I'm going to say Ichigo is the number 4 hero in this. So yeah, seeing as he's, you know, inside of like the, you know, top 10 heroes, and you know, unlike the closer to number 1 than not, because you know he's like number 4. That's only a few places away from number 1. So yeah, he's raking in a lot of dough. Izuku's family. So Izuku just decides to make use of what they're not making use of. You know, just all of the stuff that they're not using currently, and just give himself his own fortune. And why exactly would he do that? Well, let's just say that this what if Izuku was Ichigo's son, but it's more or less what if Izuku was Ichigo's son and was also Iron Man. Basically because of what he's about to do. And like Iron Man / Batman, I guess, because like what he's about to do, like completely reshape things for the entire hero freaking society. What he's about to do, he just builds a giant ass tower with a freaking Shinigami insignia. And well, this freaking huge ass tower, basically the people that would come in and basically they would see Izuku as he'd be sequentially building and building and building and building all the way until the tower was finished. He'd actually be able to finish it before the end of the day. And not just the end of the day, but the end of the school day. So yeah, he was working really fast. So yeah, big brain. Big brain Izuku. Just like using all of this knowledge and now money and, you know, the status it's going to give him, power, you know, fame, status, power, like all that, you know, clout to his name, he's going to get from what this tower is going to do for everybody. It's basically what Izuku says whenever being questioned by Aizawa and Power Loader about what the hell the tower's for and why so close to UA. Why so serious, son? Anyways, basically, why did he build it so close to UA, anyways? And Izuku's just like, well, you're never gonna believe what this is gonna be famous for. We're gonna start out as a little bit of a support company. I plan on calling it Midoriya Industries. Think of it as, well, a little something special. And he's just talking about all the support gear that he's going to be able to make using like this tower and being able to like expand out to like the far reaches of different parts of Japan. You know, expand his, you know, horizons of just what he can do and how much of it he can do all at once. And, well, also he brings up, oh, something that his thing isn't just going to be support gear based. It's also going to be a little bit based in like something along the lines of the Department of Research and like, you know, Mayuri's whole department thing. So he's basically going to mix that with like a super like powerhouse of a support gear tower, like base for an entire company. And in no time, with all the shit that's going on, like the thing would just expand out, and all of a sudden you would have several locations, not as big as the main tower, but you would still have several locations where people could get support gear, and also, oh yeah, Department of Research and Development. Basically a fusion of like a support gear thing and like the Department of Research and Development, but like for Earth instead of the Soul Society. Like the Earth's version of the Department of Research and Development. And so, yeah, that's basically what Izuku would be saying. He's going to expand his horizons, you know, rise up the ranks to the top in more ways than just one. He isn't just gonna be a hero, he's gonna be like a loaded hero, like freaking fat stacks and super packs. Just like ungodly amounts of fat stacks. So yeah. Also, you know, shout out to Epic Rap Battles of History, Mitt Romney versus Barack Obama, and Abe Lincoln at the end, like, but power investment of this giant ball bird. Presidents will not be the shiniest of two turds. No, reach over and vixen at you. Reach over across the island, bitch smack you as equals. By the people, for the people, of the people. Eagle! I freaking love that. Anyways, yeah. Basically, Izuku would have just informed them on his entire plan. To basically just uber monopolize on the entirety of Japan. Just out of like how many people want to be heroes, and you know, even people that are just, you know, to like help heroes, like stuff for them, like, and you know, also working as a sort of like Earth's version of the Department of Research and Development that would also give him an extra edge. And like he would just start exploding, like blowing up, like extremely fast. like, Godspeed freaking fast. So, yeah. Izuku would be satisfied with himself. It would be the end of the first day of school, and he'd just be really, really, really happy with himself. However, he wouldn't live in his old home. He would actually have his own, little penthouse suite room, like, slash rooms inside the tower. Like his own little penthouse suite. Kind of like Trump's has that. Trump has that. Like, a little suite. Like, something just for him. He would have that at, like, the top floor of the tower. He would have that, and, he would just crash after just being like, yeah, life is good. Life is good. And he would actually have a mantle where he would, like, not really a mantle, it would be like a shelf thing that would have, like, a glass case on top of it. And the glass case, you could open it up and put something in it. And basically, that's where Izuku's Zanpakuto would be at all times. And unless he had to use it for something. So, yeah. Kachi no Naiha would just be in the glass case. But he wouldn't put it in the glass case until he had thoroughly cleaned both the glass case from the inside and out several times over, and done the same thing with his own Zanpakuto, Kachi no Naiha. Yes, he would actually be cleaning and even doing some sharpening on his own Zanpakuto, wanting Kachi no Naiha to look its best for whenever they're about to do something. And so, yeah, epicness would ensue as Izuku would just go into his mindscape as he was dreaming, like his little dreamscape world, in our Zanpakuto world, and would just be chilling with Kachi no Naiha. Like the Zanpakuto spirit of Kachi no Naiha. They'd basically just be chilling. And since this was his Zanpakuto world, and so he would have a decent enough control over it, Izuku would actually be able to manipulate things, like create things out of thin air. And, he would just be like, well, it's been legalized in several areas across the world, so I think having a few puffs to cool myself down wouldn't be too bad, don't you think? And Kachi no Naiha would be like, dude, do it. Like, don't be a pussy. And Izuku's like, did I say I was gonna be a pussy? Hell no! I can't be a pussy and run this company and be a freaking Shinigami at the same time. Like, who do you think I am? Like, I'm not gonna, like, dip out just like that. Of course I'm gonna take a few puffs. Like, pass the puff. Like, pass and puff. But Kachi no Naiha would be like, no, thanks, I'm good. I'm not really all into that anyways. You're still going through that awkward teenage phase. Whatever happens, I'll be sure to be watching. Just so you don't get yourself killed. And Izuku's like, relax, I'm doing this in my dreams. Yeah, I'm literally getting Snoop Doggy dogged up in here in my dreams. I'm literally playing off the Snoop Dogg in my dreams. And then there would just be that song in the background. Izuku would just snap his fingers, and automatically there would be music in the background. I was gonna go to work, but then I got high. And, you know, Izuku would just start to, you know, like, make multiple clones of himself using his Reiatsu, and he would play Pass the Puff with them. Yeah, so basically, all of his clones would also get high. And whenever Izuku woke up for the next day of school, he would feel incredibly relaxed and chill, but he would also have the munchies. Like a serious case of the munchies. And so, he would definitely get a bigger breakfast than he would usually eat. And, you know, Kachi no Naiha would just be like, see, this is what happens whenever you play Pass the Puff with clones of yourself inside the Zanpakuto inner world. This is what happens. You get even worse munchies than if you were playing Pass the Puff in the physical world. And Izuku's like, I don't care, I'm just like really chill, you know? Like Izuku's still kind of got like a little bit of that high buzz. He's still a little bit of that, puff high. And so Kachi no Naiha is just hoping that, it will wear off by the time they actually get to school. Which isn't that far of a walk, considering how close the building that Izuku's now living in is to UA. And, well, fortunately, it finally does wear off by the time Izuku is actually getting to the 1A door. Okay, what crazy adventures are we gonna have today? What new crazy shit are we gonna have today? And just to let you guys know, Izuku is usually known for whenever, he's like going to school to bring his sword Kachi no Naiha with him because, it's a hero school, anything can happen. That's what Izuku's thinking. And, well, he's also thinking that that meal was pretty damn good, and that his munchies are now gone. And so is his high. And Kachi no Naiha would be like, wait, what? Where'd you even get that freaking blunt? And Izuku would just be speaking with Kachi no Naiha in his mind and be like, dude, it's the inner Zanpakuto world. I can basically create anything in there. I'm literally like Momo Yaoyorozu on steroids. Because he knows about Momo's quirk being creation. So, yeah. You can basically create anything. There's no limit to what he can create in there now. Because he's basically buddy-buddy with Kachi no Naiha now. They're kind of like roommates in each other's heads. And, well, just because he knows how much Kachi no Naiha hates the rain, anytime that Izuku might be having an off day, so he just decides to make an umbrella for Kachi no Naiha inside the inner Zanpakuto world. Like, there, is that better? And Kachi no Naiha is like, I don't think you're actually getting what I mean. And Izuku's like, well, I probably will eventually. I hope Hopefully so. Or, like, all of this will be proven to be pointless. And so that is indeed where I'm going to leave it off. Alon's the analysis for the direction of Maverick is OUT out of here. Your boys. Like, favorite, subscribe, click that little bell, and something in the comment section. And I'm a bounce like it's Quidditch. And also, thank you, person who commented about this. And I'm glad to know that you like my content. You know, like that specific what if that you commented on that one video. I'm glad to know that you like my content, and I hope that me making this will make you and others happy. Oh, and also I seem to have pleased that one person who wanted a Nomu versus Vastalorde fight. Yes, I seem to have pleased them, so I hope this pleases you. That is, unless you're the same person, and if you are, I feel stupid, but whatever. Anyways, love you guys, bye!